How do everybody? So we've had another extraordinary day today. Although there has been more interruptions going on around the country, that is not the source of what I'm really wanting to make my video about today, and it's more to do with other events, including something that I've witnessed myself, which I found quite shocking, and I'll get onto very shortly. First and foremost, what started this morning was we have a TV channel over here called ITV. Now, ITV do have a morning show called Good Morning Britain, and it is the show that Piers Morgan used to be on before he walked off the show and went doing different things. Now, currently on that show, and to be clear for people who may be overseas, news in the UK has to be deemed to be impartial. We have very, very strong rules around impartiality on our broadcasting channels. Now, I don't know how effectively people can be impartial, but they've at least got to try and aim for impartiality, and this is the scandal what has actually happened here today on Good Morning Britain. Now, there's an ex-Labour MP called Ed Balls who is actually a contributor to Good Morning Britain. He's one of the main presenters on in the morning. Now, he's done an interview today with the Home Secretary Yvette Cooper, who is obviously also Labour MP. Now, there's obviously a conflict of interest there with them both being Labour, but that is not the actual big scandal itself. And people may be thinking, well, what could be more scandalous than a previous Labour MP interviewing the Home Secretary, who is a Labour MP? Well, the fact is that those two people are married. So you have the husband of the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, interviewing her on live TV, and that is supposed to be an impartial interview. Well, it absolutely isn't, is it? There's nothing impartial about that. What were they doing? Were they discussing it over the breakfast in the morning? What they were going to talk about on the news? These people actually think we're stupid. They think that we are so thick that they can just pull the wool over our eyes like that and that nobody would notice. It's like they're standing up on high and they're urinating on us and they're telling us that it's raining and thinking that we're going to believe it. They must think we are that thick. They really must think that we're that stupid that they can just get away with being so brazenly, openly corrupt in front of our faces and that we're not going to be able to notice this sort of stuff. It beggars belief. And this just, again, proves how much these people really do hate us. They absolutely do hate us. They think that we are backwards crayon-eating plebs who are incapable of formulating any form of thought in our own heads whatsoever. This then takes me on to my next point, which is we've obviously seen in the news, and the Prime Minister has said that he's going to give loads of money to mosques and for Muslims to keep, and he will do everything to keep them safe. Well, I drive for a living during the day. I drive around a lot. And I went past, it's the school holidays at the moment for kids, and they have kids clubs on. And I'm not going to say where it was, because I don't want to draw negative attention to this place. But I drove past a kids club today on a school field, and there was double-decker buses all lined down the side of the road, ready to take the kids away in the various activities that they do at these kids clubs. Sometimes they stay on the field, where they'll have the tents and bouncy castles and stuff, and whatever entertainment they have there. And the buses take them away doing things like swimming and cinema and bowling and all other things like that. Well, no security there whatsoever. No police officers, no stab vests, no security watching them. So they're putting security on mosques, on bricks and mortar, things that can be replaced. But we've just had some children brutally assaulted and stabbed and murdered, and they're not putting any security on for the kids. They absolutely do not care about our children. These people detest us. They actually detest us. And they think we're stupid and that we're not going to see these things. My goodness. What do they think all this rioting's been about? What do they actually think the riots have been about? Do they think it's just people just engaging in an orgy of violence for the fun of it because they're just a bunch of knuckle draggers and Neanderthals? Is that what they think it is? Do they just think they're a bunch of working class thickles who've got nothing else better to do than just look for an excuse to kick off? That must be what they think it is. They mustn't think that people have got long-held grievances to do with the history of ineptitude, of them allowing crimes against our people to repeatedly happen. Because they're not taking this seriously at all. Today, I think they've been seriously arguing behind closed doors as well, because the chief of the Met Police, Mark Rowley, I'll put a link below for you to see the video, basically has had a temper tantrum in the street He's walked out of the Cobra meeting, which is where you get when emergencies happen, you get various department heads from the government and chiefs of police and chiefs of fire brigades all meet together to basically have a powwow on how to deal with the situation. As he's walked out, a reporter has asked him a question about two-tier policing, and rather than speak to him, he just grabbed hold of the microphone on the boom and just ripped it out and dropped it, basically, or knocked it out and cut and basically damaged the microphone. The best I can tell, anyway, because the sound cuts out. And then just stormed off, and he had an absolute face like thunder on him. So what's going on behind them closed doors? Who knows? Who knows? And here's the final point that I want to talk about as well. It's to do with the Crown Prosecution Service. And Keir Starmer used to be the head of the Crown Prosecution Service when he worked for Tony Blair and was responsible for, although I don't believe directly involved, but was certainly responsible due to his position of being involved for the cover-up of Jimmy Savile getting away with his horrific crimes. And once again, we see Keir Starmer failing again. Failed as the Crown Prosecution Service, and now he's failing as Prime Minister. So I'm just going to read this out off Twitter. This is off the Crown Prosecution Service's Twitter page itself. The Director of Public Prosecutions has directed CPS lawyers to make immediate charging decisions where evidence is in place, and this is happening. Well, they couldn't do that for those two individuals who assaulted police officers at Manchester Airport, could they? Oh, no. Those two individuals haven't even been formally arrested, formally charged yet. Those two individuals are still walking around on the streets, even though one of them broke the nose of a female police officer. No. Those two get to walk around on the streets. But people who've been involved in throwing things and causing graffiti and damaging bricks and mortar, and I'm not endorsing that, by the way, don't do that. But they haven't hurt anybody. But those people are going to be going to prison like within 24 hours, by the looks of it. This just tells you everything you need to know. We have deployed extra lawyers and are working around the clock to ensure law and order is maintained and justice is served. Why couldn't they do that for those three girls who were murdered? For that alleged nonce, I've got to say alleged, for that alleged nonce of Rwandan parents. Why can't they do that for him? What about for Anjem Chowdhury, who it's taken him nearly 25 frigging years to get behind bars properly? A man who's actually incited terrorism and has recruited actual terrorists to go fight for ISIS. They can't do it for them people, can they? But God forbid you set fire to a wheelie bin or you throw a brick in anger. God forbid you do that. Oh, they'll have you in prison within 24 hours if you're white. And that's the problem with these people. They think we're stupid. They think they can just call us racist, bigots and far right and that we're just going to roll over and accept it. As I keep saying, I do not want violence. I don't want people to go out rioting and burning things. But my goodness, they think we are stupid and that we're not going to see this sort of stuff. And they think they can just do this and that there isn't going to be a reaction to it. You can't just basically tell half the population that the racist bigots and that they should just shut up and go home and that there's not going to be a reaction. They're just so thick. They're beyond thick. They're actually beyond thick because they are so high on sniffing their own farts that they cannot think clearly other than the shit in their brains from huffing so many farts. I'm going to leave it at that because I'm really starting to get myself worked up here and I don't want other people getting worked up. Don't go to riots. Do not riot. Do not go out and commit violence. Don't go online tapping away doing hate or anything. Just do not get involved because they are taking no prisoners with this. We as the indigenous population and those adjacent to us and who are aligned with what we're saying, we are not in the inner circle. We are the enemy. And the way power works is they will make exceptions for us. It's called a Schmittian exception. And they will twist the rules to suit whatever they need. It doesn't matter how things are written down. They don't care. Because all they'll do is they'll just lock you up. And when you're out, you're out. When your time's up. And no amount of pleading and saying, well, this isn't the proper rules, was going to change that. Because that isn't how power actually works. It was like the Iraq War. It was illegal. We all know it was illegal. But it still happened. They still went to war in Iraq. They lied about weapons of mass destruction, but they still did it. So don't think that they can't do what the heck they want, because they will do it. And there's not a single thing at this moment in time that we can do to prevent the state from doing that. Because at the end of the day, they have the police, they have the guns, they have the dogs, they have the riot shields. We don't. We have nothing. They are the ones who have the monopoly on violence at the end of the day, and that's just the reality of it. I'm not saying that we should engage in violence. I'm not condoning violence. We should not be going down the route of violence, to be very, very clear, and do not do that yourself. But don't kid yourself, guys. This is not a battle that we can win at this stage of time, but we can work towards it. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I will put links below to these things. Thank you and goodbye.